Wait for it. Wait for it, and we're live. Hey, all you crazy sci-fi and fantasy fans. It's time for your daily dose of shenanigans over here at the Blasters and Blades podcast. Just a couple of nerdy veterans, a stabby chaos coordinator, and one chief shenanigator geeking out over our science fiction passions and fantastical fantasies. A place where magic is king, the sky is the limit, and space is the place. We are the podcast that puts the fun in dysfunction. So without further ado, we're going to let our guests introduce themselves to our listeners and viewers at home, starting with the one, the only, the lovely Madam Chloe Garner.
Hello, I am Chloe Garner, authoress of various sprawling and out-of-control universes within the speculative fiction domain, and I am so excited to be here.
Outstanding. And we are excited that you were here, and excited to be here with us.
Woo-woo!
All right, next we have Mr. James J.E. Pittman, friend of the show, absent a long time. We're glad you're finally back with us, sir.
Glad to be back. Glad to be back in the state more than a couple days at a time to record one of these things. Been a little busy with shows lately. Hey, I'm J.E. Pittman. I write the Felix Chance series of books, and I'm also one of the co-founders of The Crowded Shelf. You can see us at a convention near you, slinging over 60 author friends' books. We're over 500 titles now, so come find us at a show near you.
Freaking standing. Next, we have Miss Jana S. Brown, who sometimes cosplays as Jenna Ray.
Hi, guys. I'm Jana S. Brown. I write speculative fiction of all sorts of stripes and colors and other such things under the pen name Jenna Ray. I am the chief shenanigator around here. I keep telling people it's kind of, half being a cat herder and half being a den mom. And I am excited to be here. This is one of my favorite subjects.
Next, we have Mr. Matthew Olerant, who can't be on camera today because he is on a stakeout looking for Sasquatch for Uncle Sam. But it's officially an organization that doesn't officially exist, so he can't talk about it. So don't ask him about Sasquatch. Whatever you do not send him letters. All right. Now that that's out of the way, Matt, you want to introduce yourself?
Especially not about how your tax dollars are spent. But hi, yes, I'm Matt O'Larenaut. I'm also an author of speculative fiction, sci-fi, and fantasy. Quite a few short stories here, published through Bayonet Books. And I guess my longest-running one will be relevant to the topic today, Griffin Earl, the Nimble and Scales Detective Agency. And I'm also the co-host of a podcast called Yet Another Writing Podcast.
And if he can ever stop spending the government money long enough, he'll have time to write his own novels, which we all anxiously wait for. So
they're on the way.
Get another 20 years on him so he can retire. But last but certainly not least, we have Miss Melissa McShane, the War Master herself of War Hamster fame. Would you like to introduce yourself to our lovely listeners at home?
Of course I would. I'm Melissa McShane. I'm the author of many different novels of different types of fantasy, including urban fantasy and historical fantasy and all sorts of other many different fantasies. And I am happy to be here because this is a fun topic for me as well.
All right. So what makes it so fun for you?
Because I have recently started writing a Paranormal Detective series, and this is new for me. So I'm excited to hear what everybody has to say.
Okay.
And it's really good.
All right, so our religion question today is going to be very open-ended because the only one I know about is Dresden Files, and when I asked Grok, it told me it was classified. So who is your favorite paranormal detective, Chloe?
Okay, I'm not sure that I can stand by this answer and defend it, but I'm going to give it anyway because what the heck? I think it's Angel.
Okay.
Because they had cases and they ran around solving problems and figuring things out. And he had an agency and stuff, and that counts, right?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Okay. And then we're just going to circle round robin. Matt, you're next.
I would actually say, aside from the Dresden Files, I would point at Felix Castor, which is a series, who's the main character of a series of Mike Carey novels. And so he does more exorcism stuff, but I find it super interesting.
Okay. Melissa.
Actually, I'm going to go back even further to pre-paranormal, to the Garrett Files by Glenn Cook. I stole it first. You can have we can share the favorite. He is a noirish detective in a fantasy world, And not so much the paranormal as straight fantasy, but he is still very much a detective in the true Sam Spade mold, and I like that about him.
Okay, and James Pittman. I know I went a little out of order, but I'm not looking at the screen. I'm trying to write all these down for the hashtags.
You're good, man. So aside from Dresden, number one fave, I'm going to have to. When you asked, I had three pop into my head. John Taylor from Simon Green's Tales from the Night Side, Alex Verus by Benedict Jacka. But I'm going to land on Dirk Gently and his Holistic Detective Agency because that was one of the seeds for Felix Chance.
Who wrote that in?
That was Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams.
Yep.
That's his lesser-known series, but in my opinion, I enjoyed it more.
I did too.
They had a TV series out of it, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not as good as the books, but it was still quality.
All right. And do you have an alternate answer now that Melissa stole yours, Jana?
October Day from the Shannon Maguire books. She is a eventually Fae princess, but also a PI.
Okay. I do not have one because this is not a genre I read. But the only detective I've ever read would be, I guess, as a kid, Inspector Gadget, but that's not paranormal, and Sherlock Holmes. And again, not paranormal. So
Depends on the case.
Like anti-paranormal.
yeah, because he mostly just proves, Scooby-Doo gang. But it's also anti-paranormal.
Yeah.
Until it isn't, except the times it isn't.
Right.
Yeah. But a lot of that, yeah, they're disproving the paranormal aspect of it.
Okay, well, all right. So the next part we have to do before we get started is we do have to define our terms. I don't think we really need to define what a detective is. If you haven't figured that one out by now, I think, your school really failed you. And so we're going to define our terms. Oh, wait. We did forget the most important question, the coffee and tea question.
I was going to say, are you skipping ahead from the rest of the religion question?
I am. See, this is what happens when you let me multitask. Bad things. Because we are civilized human beings here at the Blasters Blade podcast, we are no longer Knuckle Dragon Troglodytes. I'm going to ask you, coffee or tea, and how do you take it when you're drinking with a detective, Chloe?
Propel. It is hot. We need our electrolytes. I am drinking Propel.
Okay, electrolytes matter. Drink water. All right, what about you, Matt?
So I usually opt for tea first with 2 sugars and a bit of milk, but for other times when I'm especially in detective mode, black coffee.
Excellent answer. So, all right, what about you, James?
Tea, iced.
You still drink it with your pinky up.
Of course.
Because you're a civilized human
We're
being.
civilized.
All right. What about you, Melissa?
Well, it's summer. I'm drinking Coca-Cola. And now that I'm back in the United States and I have my office back, I have a little fridge in my office and it is full of Coca-Cola, which is probably not good for me, but I'll take it.
I won't tell your doctor if you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jana, what are you drinking with your detective? And if you say just Dr. Pepper again, I'm going to scream quietly.
Oh, no.
Start screaming because I am drinking my Diet Dr. Pepper, coconut with lemon lime.
But the detective might want to drink something else. You got to think about the detective.
No, tough rocks. If he's in my home area, he gets to drink my soda.
Will you at least drink it under a night light a street light that flickers at night, so it's like noirish at least?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely, but
You gotta have some.
New genre of fizzy noir.
I need my caffeine. I need it really, really cold. And my husband, who is amazing, bought me a new ice maker, which was a whole thing of, he bought it on Amazon Prime and thought he was getting ahead for a Christmas present because our ice maker was on its way out. And then it died hideously in the way that there was smoke and bad smells. And I wrote him a message and said, our ice maker just died. And he's like, well, there's actually one coming tomorrow. It's like, wow, didn't that align nicely? So now I have like the massive, it has a double-sized tank and cool LED lights, and it is the coolest ice maker that I have ever seen for a home ice maker. So I'm very excited.
So on a scale of the built-in one that comes with the fridge to the lovely ice that comes from Sonic or Chick-fil-A, where does your new ice maker rank?
Oh, it's right up there with Sonic and Chick-fil-A. It's the little pebble ice, and
Yeah, the
it's
good
on
ice.
demand, and there's
That was my
plenty
next
of
question.
it. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Okay. All right. We'll allow it. All righty. So now we'll finally define our terms and make sure everyone agrees with it.
Okay.
So obviously we have said what a detective is, because I don't think we should have to. So we're just going to assume you all know. But what is the paranormal? So as usual, we use the genius, not so smart people over there at Wikipedia, because it's a site we can all agree on. And we defined paranormal. So it describes events or phenomena that fall outside the range of normal experience or scientific explanation. The term combines the Greek prefix para, meaning beyond or contrary to, with normal. It encompasses purported occurrences that defy current physical laws, such as ghosts, telepathy, and UFOs. Are we all okay with that?
That's a decent starting place.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you're in a
It's a little
fantasy setting, then it
generic,
has to disobey the laws of the fantasy setting.
Mm.
This is true. It would be relative to the universe in which the story is happening. But do you think the genre of Paranormal Detectives has to be contrary to Earth laws as the reader knows it, or as the universe you're writing in knows it?
I think that Paranormal Detective, by virtue of the word paranormal, requires that we are on the first world. This is not second world fiction. You can have fantasy detectives.
Right.
And all paranormal detectives are fantasy detectives, but I think that not all fantasy detectives are paranormal, because paranormal means normal with something added in.
Right. Look at Melissa's example that she stole from
Right.
Jana, Garrett.
Yeah.
He is a second world character, but he is a detective in that world.
Right. So not quite paranormal. I think I picked Garrett because he's kind of like where paranormal came from. He was like I don't know that he was the first, because this is not a genre I am that well read in, but he certainly set the example for what was possible in terms of what you could do with a noir detective that didn't have to be in our world. And so it's kind of like bridging the gap between, say, Sam Spade to Garrett to Paranormal Detectives now. But I would agree that it would be, we're looking at somebody who is in our world. I think you could probably make a case for, I don't know of any examples, but you could probably make a case for somebody in a secondary world being a paranormal detective, but I think that would be really unusual, and you'd really have to sell it.
I think it has to be paranormal to the second world.
Yeah, exactly. It would have to, it would be really, that's really interesting. Now I'm thinking about it.
So
I already have something.
Absolutely.
Following Chloe's logic, I'm thinking of an anime called Gate, where it takes place in the secondary world, but it's, the Japanese self-defense force. So it's, by that logic, it would be mundane humans and isekai'd into a paranormal world, and one of the citizens of that world has to figure out normal crime.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. And you do get odd cases, because like I'm thinking the Kate Daniels series, it's a post-apocalyptic world where magic and technology goes back and forth. So magic stuff is a part of that, but she at one point sets up her own detective agency where she is researching the stuff that is even strange within this world that goes back and forth. And so I think you can get there, but you need the parasite of it that says what is different to this world. And most of the time, those are fairly closely related to Earth-like. Otherwise, it gets really, really broad, and it's hard to.
Yeah, that, or you need to clearly define the rules. Like, say, if you're doing a fantasy setting, you're like, this has to obey D&D rules, or at least, in the prose, you say that, and then suddenly things start happening outside of it, and it suddenly gets all soft magic. wibbly wobbly on you, then it's weird.
Yeah.
Then it's paranormal to that world.
But I mean, what would count at that point if you've got a world that already has all the weird, the funky ghosts and goblins and, other than aliens, what would exist that would count at that point?
It depends on the rules of the world. If you don't have ghost sightings because you're just living in a fey world and all of a sudden poltergeists turn up.
Well, he said D&D world, and there are ghosts in D&D.
Right. But,
Well, yeah,
okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know the laws of D&D well enough to tell you what breaks them, but I'm sure we could.
Yeah.
It could also just be a limited experience, like, because most people in the normal general sense of the word in D&D are aware, okay, magic exists, and like you run to a magician occasionally, but if a chaos god shows up, that's something new, different, and weird to them. They've never seen that.
That
Right.
or so pretend like magic is the rule in the world. So any crime must be done through magical means. All the alarms, etc., are set to detect magic. So a regular, just like contortionist sneak thief gets in and robs the treasury, they are befuddled as to how this person got in. They used, mundane human means as opposed to the magical means, which are obviously the only way to correctly rob a vault. That would be outside their expectations and therefore the paranormal.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another anime series. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's several anime series. I just couldn't pin one down. But it's kind of like the general rule of where everyone is a wizard, but this one person is magicless.
I was going to point out a certain magical index where that's kind of like the whole shtick, where they live in a city where everybody has Esper powers because that's what the city is researching, and it's all scientific based. And suddenly magic users show up and they go, what the heck is this? And then the magic users also have their own culture, and they run into the Espers and they go, what the heck is that? And then in the middle of it all, the main character actually has the ability to negate all powers. So he's the weird one.
Yeah, that's why I was going to bring up Black Clover, which is about to come back. The main character is the only magicless person. He negates magic in the world, and he's trying to be the king of the magic users. So he is the paranormal aspect because his abilities come from beyond what the normal in that world is.
So I kind of want to loop back to JR says, well, we obviously all know what detectives are, but do we? Because there's a lot of lines there, and we see a lot of them in paranormal between people that are investigators of the weird, but that's not necessarily detective. There's differences between, somebody who's doing this as a job with all of the things that comes with the paperwork and licensing and all that kind of stuff. And then you get those who just investigate the paranormal because they're drawn into it, because they're bounty hunters, because they're hunters of the supernatural, and they do investigate. But is there a difference between investigators who are doing that as part of a bigger plot and folks who, honest to goodness, they're set up and that's what they do? I was just thinking, I've got Dan Willis, his Arcane Casebook, and Alex Lockerbie is an honest to goodness noir detective, hard-boiled, with the sign on his door and the dame who greets people and the whole 9 yards. And we talk about some of these, and they're in the phone book as detectives, and others are investigators. So where's our line?
Yeah, I was going to put Odd Thomas up for discussion.
Okay.
Or there's one friend of mine wrote, Stuart Jaffe's Max Porter Paranormal Mysteries. The detective is dead. The one actually doing the detective work is dead, haunting the building for other detectives and helps them out on their paranormal casework.
Oh, nice.
Or like in Mike Carey's Felix Casper.
Mike Carey too.
Yeah. I don't know, because as a reader, just for a minute, I feel that the itch is scratched the same way, whether it's officially a detective or just somebody who falls into it. So on that side, I don't know that there's a difference. I think you could look at it from the other side and say, yeah, there is a difference, and here's what it is. In terms of the kind of stories that you can tell, because a detective, somebody who's got a license, has to abide by certain rules, and an investigator who doesn't can do whatever the heck they want, more or less.
Yeah.
Also, it depends on the world they're in. like Simon Green. John Taylor is a PI in
Right.
normal London, but in the underground or whatever it was called, the night side, he is basically by the end a godlike entity in of himself. But he has a trick where he just finds stuff, and when he does that, bad things happen. So he tries to live the mundane life in London, but he's drawn back into the night side, and he's still detecting. He is still going on cases in the night side. He's not abiding anybody's rules, but the powers, and even them, he just kind of flaunts. So yeah, I think Melissa is right about the detective part doesn't necessarily play a huge role in the definition, as long as they have the similar vibe and tropes and deliver the same kind of elements to the story for the reader. The variance on what type of detective they are is part of the flavoring, just like what kind of world they're operating in.
Chloe, did you
That,
have
and I
something?
think it's also outcomes driven, where depending on if you have an official detective who's funded by a government or something like that, you have a certain expectation of outcomes. Like, I'm going to solve the case, I'm going to turn it in so we can get justice for whatever happened. Or if you're just an investigator, where like, I need to find the truth behind this, so I can exorcise this house I just bought, because man, it sucks living in a haunted house.
No, I think that what matters about the detective genre is less about the rules of licensing and the hat, and more about, we're going to answer a question that we have a certain set of skills to solve, and average people don't, living inside of a set of rules that most people can't comprehend. And I would actually ask if there's a far side of this where we go off the far end of it and we get into cozies, where I don't consider Paranormal Detective and cozy to be the same thing at all, but everything that we're describing is a cozy, as long as you stick within the paranormal realm of the cozies. And I think that having a sense of peril and a sense of danger, whereas the cozies are charming and friendly and not intended to be perilous.
Right.
I think a paranormal detective requires a sense of peril in order to meet the genre expectations.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think it's also like I like to define it based on like solving a mystery versus solving a puzzle. Because I think the cozies tend more towards the puzzle side of the house. There's no, like you said, there's no risk involved in it, or at least there's less of it, where you're not gonna die.
Okay.
And from an author standpoint, if you're doing like straight up detective casework, it structures your series differently, because it becomes a one book, one case, solve it and move on, and then reset for the next one the next week. If it's a different type, where then you may have the superficial similarities, but you're doing like a full story arc, you may only have 3 books. I guess it depends on how you're structuring it too.
Yeah, I think that the detective genre requires one case, and that is your episode.
Yeah, it's a central driving plot, but I think across the series, like I would point at the X-Files, for example, where they did the monster a week, but there was also the larger like lore arcs where that showed up every now and again, and those didn't get resolved over the course of however long the series went until near the very end.
Yeah, I mean, they all do it. Dresden does it. Nightside does it. Alex Veris does it. They just have, it's basically B and C plots that, are resolved in 3 books, 6 books, the entire series. You have certain questions that drive it the entire way. Like, to go to a non-paranormal example, Alex Cross. Those books have a mystery or a case a week, or a book, but you're left with like the mystery of the family.
Okay.
through the whole time.
Yeah, you can have a lot of other stuff going on, and that's totally fair game. But the arc needs to be this episode's question, and you answer it, even if you answer it in an unsatisfying way because we're off chasing Red John and some more. That's okay, but you solve the question of the episode each time. Otherwise, you've missed a trick for the genre, I think.
Well, and sometimes you can have multiple related cases that are going on. Because, like, I'm thinking, again, back to these Alex Lockerbie, because I've been reading them for the last couple of months. And he'll always introduce, here's the main case, but because he is broke all the time, poor thing, which happens a lot with the paranormal detective thing. It is a trope that they are continually scraping for resources. He ends up with, I'm going to start with this thing. And then also this person's looking for their lost husband and this person's looking for something else. So he's juggling multiple cases. And one of the interesting things with Dan Willis as an author and as a reader for these is I know that by the end, all 3 or 4 of the cases that he's touching are interrelated, but I don't know how until we get a little bit closer. And sometimes it's only, the 3 are interrelated and 1 isn't. But I do like that there's several of these where it is Monster of the Week style, but it'll be enough things that I'm not just following one case from beginning to end and calling it good, but it is several different things. And then there's also the overarching what's driving the entire series. Mm-hmm. And JR says we have to all stop talking for a minute because we have a really, really cool commercial to put on. So JR, roll that beautiful bean footage.
That was the worst segue ever, but we'll allow it.
When Tina discovers her parents murdered, her old life ends. Faced with a police investigation that is going nowhere and with no clue what else to do, she turns to a random detective out of the phone book. Tell is unstructured at best. His office is a disaster area, his hours are whatever he feels like, and his attitude is maddening. But if his professionalism went missing a while back, it seems to be the one thing he can't find. He's convinced that he can give Tina the answer she's looking for, if she's willing to put up with him. As the mystery of what really happened to her parents that night unfolds, Tina realizes that she's taking a step into a world that she can't leave again. Are the secrets that he's in possession of worth the risks? This is where Tina's new life starts. Read this fantastic series today.
All right, thank you for sticking with us through that commercial interlude.
Woo.
All right, so in the side chat, which you guys can't see at home, I looked up because Chloe had asked about cozies in the genre, and according to both Google, Gemini, Grok, and then I just checked Bing, cozy paranormal is a thing, and all 4 of those entities say it counts as paranormal detective. But Chloe has some thoughts. I'm not vested in this genre at all. I don't read it. It's not my fan. It's just something readers of or listeners of the podcast asked us to do as a topic, so here we are. But Chloe has some strong feelings about paranormal and cozy.
Okay, so most of my really good friends as writers are cozy writers. This is like my people. And I love cozies and I love how they're structured. And paranormal cozy is absolutely a perfectly sound subset of cozy. You have witches with cats on the cover instead of the young woman in a leather jacket with a detective boyfriend. It's a totally sound and long running subset of the genre. But to call that a paranormal detective, now you've drawn yourself into a big world of intrigue and risk taking, and somebody's going to die if you don't solve this in time. And that's just not the cozy vibe. That's the antithesis of what a cozy is. A paranormal detective implies a certain level of noir that is, it's literally in the color term. Cozy can't be and doesn't want to be noir. It wants to be colorful and cheerful and funny and light. It wants to be cozy. So to say that a cozy could be a subset of paranormal detective, I think completely misses what paranormal detective is.
If you were listening over there at Google and Gemini and Grok and Bing and all the other search platforms, Chloe has some words for you.
I feel like that's also the differentiation if we like walk it all the way back, take the paranormal out of it, just make it detective fiction or mystery fiction. Because you have mystery fiction in general, detective fiction is a subset of that, where you're focused on the detective as a character, and then so that splits out, and you have hard-boiled or you have cozy, because you have Agatha Christie versus like Raymond Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So
inside
what-
of that, you just throw the paranormal tag on either one, and they go into either direction. But I think if you don't count Agatha Christie as a detective, it's not detective fiction. But if you count her as a detective, then it's detective fiction.
So where would you
We're
fit
starting
the,
to split hairs because it's like the difference between a sleuth and a detective, because the amateur sleuth is a big part of what cozy mystery is and cozy paranormal. So it's starting to make those split hairs of, is it how hard boiled does it have to be? Is there a difference between a sleuth and a detective? We're still going around the idea of here are people that solve paranormal.
Maybe there's a
mysteries and
soft-boiled
other things.
detective for the
Oh,
cozy.
honey, I was about to ask you if supernatural counts.
See,
Because
that's one
I'm
of
out,
those
I'm
where
out
it's
the
on the verge.
fringiest of what does it really take for this to be a case of the week and solving a question.
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
it's supernatural, a paranormal detective if you really squint hard. So I'm still stuffing stuff into this because I think Odd Thomas is a detective, and if Odd Thomas is a detective, then supernatural may as well be, because you solve a question that is using information and knowledge that only you have.
It's a wide umbrella.
It is. I like it. But
Yeah.
I think that Cozy it has a mutually exclusive vibe to it that says that we are here because we have this charming lead who's going to tell you a happy story and solve a puzzle and is going to be very clever and we're never really worried about her or anyone else. Are there any cozy men? Sorry,
Sure there are.
distracted myself. But we're not really worried about her. We're not really that worried about anybody else dying. The body is just over there, but you only ever see the feet. Like you're not really worried about the death and destruction of the case. Whereas a paranormal detective is really weighed down with the consequences of both what has already happened and what happens if you don't fix it. And those consequences are so meaningful to the genre. I think I can't put cozy back into it.
But it's still a
Yeah.
detective. So the
I agree
detective
that
is
they're
the thing that
detectives. I just
exists
don't think
across the board. But it's, is it cozy paranormal? Is it paranormal? Is it hard-boiled paranormal? So we've got this range that it's all detectives. They're all solving things, putting clues together, going through all of the tropes and everything that belong with mystery, being detectives. But I think you get that range of tone and style that goes all the way from the very fluffy to, because you get the same thing just in mystery itself before you start adding paranormal to it. They're still detectives. They're still detecting things.
They
And
are
solving
detectives. I just don't think that it's paranormal detective. I think if you shelve it there, you've done it wrong.
I was thinking, on a completely different note from this, what is the purpose? Not in the why are we bothering with this distinction, but what benefit is there to identifying one over the other? I mean, aside from the whole, it's an interesting discussion, but does it help to be able to point someone and say, is this paranormal fiction? Is this paranormal detective? Because if I'm looking for a paranormal detective story and you steer me in the cozy paranormal detective direction, I will probably be disappointed. So,
And if you're a cozy person and you get, there's a writer that I used to read a while back who talked about picking up a Nora Roberts book, and they killed a baby on the page, and she literally threw the book across the room and never read her again. And it's like, no, you can't do those things. This is breaking genre rules in a really important way. And I think that letting cozy readers accident themselves into paranormal detective, they're not going to be happy at all. They're going to be profoundly disappointed by it.
Yeah, and the important thing to us as writers is knowing how to market ourselves, how to put ourselves in the category that our readers will find us appropriately.
And this is why I remind you, dear listener, this is why reviews matter, because it helps the right readers find the right book. It's more than just the algorithms for the author, which is great, by the way. We really love that. But it also helps you as a reader. If you're not sure if this book is for you and the cover's a little ambiguous or dated, those reviews, man, they can tell you what to expect, and you can kind of read them. And, assuming, you can shift out the political ones because that happens these days, you can kind of drill down and say, hey, is this the kind of content I'm going to be okay with?
No.
Because it's okay not to be okay with certain topics.
Mhm.
And you don't even have to not be okay, but you can have a book throwing moment
Mhm.
where this was not what I was here for, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a series that not a paranormal detective series, not even close to that, just the first one that comes to mind. I was enjoying the series for the first 5 books, and then it didn't get any less good, but it switched direction, and it suddenly wasn't what I was there for anymore. And that was very disappointing because, like I say, it was still really well written. It was an interesting story, but the things that I had come to the series for were no longer there. So I think it matters to be able to say, here's what I identify paranormal detective as, so that when I'm talking to other people who like the same thing, they can go, oh yeah, this is something I would like too, or, well, that's not what I think of as paranormal detective. I think that helps because, the reader's experience really matters.
Absolutely. Okay, now I'm off my soapbox. We can go back to talking about paranormal detectives. So we've talked about, we've kind of gone back and forth on what counts as paranormal detectives, but what tropes within the genre, like, because some genres have certain tropes you have to have. Romance readers, generally speaking, want that happily, right? Or at least happily for now. Are there certain tropes in paranormal detective series or novel that you have to hit in order to meet the reader expectations?
You have to solve the case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there
Even
has
if it
to
is
be a
disappointing.
question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's pretty good and broad. I mean, or specific, I
I think
guess.
the other stuff too that we expect from a paranormal detective, hard-boiled type detective, is all the stuff that's borrowed from the hard-boiled genre, where they're slightly world weary, they know more, and like they have, and a lot of times it'd be like implication of ritual magic, or at least or some kind of psychic power or something or other. And that's what really makes them different.
Definitely have to have the paranormal aspect. There has to be something magical going on. In some way, whether it's the world that's magical or whether it's the detective that's magical, you definitely have to have that paranormal element.
Also, along with their paranormal element, they typically have some kind of edge, which their power gives them, and it is not explained right up front. It is a little bit mysterious. They are definitely a little dark. And their true abilities are hidden behind their world weariness. And oftentimes, in the course of solving their case, the author, one of my favorite memes, the author treats them like a glow stick to make them shine.
Break them and shake them up.
Crack and shake. Yep.
Yeah.
Though I think sometimes we do get their, what their magic or their edges right up front, but over the course of a series that develops. Because like Henry Dresden puts it in the yellow pages, wizard, that is his edge right up front. And then through the series, it develops, it changes, they learn things about themselves. I think that happens a lot where they start thinking, this is who I am, and this is what my edge is, this is what my relationship to the paranormal is. Right. And then through the series, we see how that grows and changes as they grow and change, whether that's in power level or as the relationships in the world change, as they get connected to more and more powerful people and find out that that's often a very scary thing. But we see those changes, and then that edge can often change as well.
Now, you said their power. Go ahead.
Well, also, going back to like you're saying with Dresden, yeah, he advertises he's a wizard in the phone book, no endless purses, no conjurings, no parties, it's stuff like that. He is taking a very light, superficial element of his power and advertising it. He is not putting out there his connections to like Justin DeMorn or his fairy godmother, etc. That's stuff that develops. And go on to like Simon Green and John Taylor. He just has his quote unquote knack for finding things. That's all Green gives us in the beginning. Yeah. And then you learn more about what exactly that power is. And heck, even in my own series, which he's not a detective, despite what a lot of people think, but Felix Chance, the tagline I put on the very first book is luck is his greatest skill. What the hell does that mean? Well, I tell you about the third book. He knows, he's forgotten, but it operates in a very different way than most people think. It's just how it is presented as well sometimes.
Now, do they have to have magic themselves to investigate it? I mean, there's plenty of stories where the vampire hunter hunts them because someone did something to their family. Same with the werewolf hunters, the Sasquatch hunters. Insert any random, person hunting down the various things in fantasy.
Constantine.
Yeah, Constantine, Grimm, Supernatural, all of them.
Well, no, Grimm was one of them.
No, Grimm was a hunter. He was
but that was his magical power, was that he could see them, so he did have power.
His magical power was the trailer his grandmother left him with all the books and all the knowledge.
But he could see them when they were in their human normal face. They couldn't hide from him. That is a magical power.
Okay.
Well, and have to know, but it becomes very common because one of the problems you get, and this is actually explored in several books, where you get very often the police officers who are normal, and you end up with the PI standing between the police officers and the paranormal, because the normal cops are not equipped to deal with this. And you see cops that die and things like that because they don't have the knowledge and they don't have the power and that kind of thing that a lot of these PIs take on. Now, that doesn't happen in every case. Sometimes the PIs don't have a power, or what they have is very minor. Things like being able to see a Grimm, being able to unlock the doors magically, locks magically. So they can have more minor powers, but especially if they go on for a long time, there is a tendency for some kind of power to open up, because they do need to be able to. How do you go toe-to-toe with a vampire? And the rules say, well, you either have to have lots of different gear in order to do that, so you're bringing a technological advantage, you're bringing a knowledge advantage by knowing the vampire's weaknesses, or you have to start crossing into being paranormal yourself, because otherwise you're going to get squashed like a bug.
Yeah, but I kind of like the idea of the detective being the one who has no power except their knowledge. I mean, it's kind of like Batman at that point. Batman has no superpowers, but he has a lot of money, and
his superpower is his money.
Well, that's just it. It's not really a superpower in the same sense as Superman's, but he has advantages. He has advantages that he brings to the fight. And I like the idea of someone who is relatively normal, except for their knowledge of the existence of the paranormal world, and who manages to hold their own.
I think that's also interesting. Additionally stands as like kind of a metaphor where, like, regular civilized normal society, and the detective stands as like the bulwark against the actual forces of chaos that exist beyond just, the firelight of civilization.
Yeah.
And
does a paranormal detective require a hidden world?
No, I don't think so.
Not necessarily.
On Earth, if we're talking about primary world stories, and there is the paranormal underpinning, it almost necessitates that there is a secondary world. Otherwise, how does everyone not know about it?
Well, sometimes they do. I don't think that it's. I don't think it's essential that the secret world be secret. It just has to be there. I mean,
I pointed to my Carrie novels too.
Yeah,
if the paranormal detective, if everyone knows about the paranormal, why do you need a special detective? Then every cop is a paranormal detective at that point, right? What makes him special?
Necessarily.
Well,
they could be, but usually the main character knows more.
Yeah.
So would Carnival Row, the Netflix series, count as paranormal detective? He was a detective.
He's a detective, but he's not solving cases. They have ongoing political arcs and social arcs and stuff going on. It's not case driven. I'm going to walk Supernatural back for the same reason. They do have a case of the week structure that they draw from some high percentage of the time, but a lot of the rest of it is questing, and questing is very different from case solving.
Yeah.
Okay. So the case is the fundamental thing for every. That makes sense.
Yeah, you gotta have something that you are pushing to solve, even if, again, there are other threads that are part of a bigger arc.
And I think it needs to come from outside of you.
Are there any clothing aesthetics that are required? Because if you look at the older ones, the noir, you got the trench coat, the hat, and listen here, dame, see? You got the cigarettes.
You can do that, and it's a great trope to throw in, but it's certainly not a requirement of the genre.
Yeah.
No, but it is a fun wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Go ahead, Matt.
The aesthetic would be the detective's own character flaw, or into like a vice or something like that, that always like, manages to drag them down in their normal life, but makes them an awesome detective for some reason.
Now, with the Noir series that this split off of, a lot of times, just because of when it was written, they were all part of their world weariness was they were generally speaking combat veterans. Is that a requirement for the detective in the Paranormal Detective, or did that part get dropped?
No, I think that's again where the Garrett novels are kind of bridging the gap between the two, because Garrett is a combat veteran. And so he's way more like a noir detective than he is a paranormal detective, just because he's in the middle there. But I think that requirement has kind of gone by the wayside as well.
I think the other it kind of morphed, because in the paranormal genre, like they're not necessarily the veteran of a mundane war. They may be a veteran of a weird paranormal activity that gave them an insight into their world, and that's why they're a paranormal detective versus just a regular one.
Yeah, and you do still see it sometimes where you have, and like Matt says, very often it's here's somebody that was a police officer, that was a veteran, that was something like that, and they encountered something paranormal that shifted their worldview, whether they picked up powers as part of that or not, but that shift of worldview makes them step into that role and say, yeah, that's the thing I'm going to do. I mean, I write about a police officer who ran headfirst into the paranormal and went, yikes, our world is a big, scary place, but is still very stuck on that whole serve and protect thing. But she finds that trying to keep all of the rules that you have to keep as a police officer and dealing with the paranormal world becomes at odds ends. She's not able to keep that going. And that's where she steps into more of an investigator role, is because being that police officer won't work anymore. So you do see people with a lot of those backgrounds, because it also lets us explain things like, where do they have skill with various weaponry or this, that, and the other, that you don't have to go through a montage, a training montage in order to explain.
Yep.
So
no, I'm sitting here trying to separate out, and it feels like a historical artifact that detectives are military, and that paranormal detectives in particular are military. And I'm thinking a lot of things in my head and going, oh no, you can't say that because that's not remotely true. Things like, we haven't had a big war that's generated a lot of veterans. And no, that's literally not true. And I don't believe it. I'm wondering if it's Nazis and the Nazi obsession with the paranormal that spawned some of that, because it feels like it's a World War II artifact rather than Gulf War and Korea and Vietnam. And the one, we don't have a villain that was obsessed with the paranormal.
You have the CIA
kinds of backgrounds. And maybe that's why the paranormal detectives of the 50s and the 60s had a lot of military background, because they came across the weird while they were in the war. But you don't come back from Vietnam having experienced the weird, I think. And I'm still chewing on this one and trying not to shove my foot in my mouth accidentally, but I'm trying to separate out. It feels like there's a timeline aspect.
The closest that actually makes sense. The closest thing I could think of is some of the experiments, and I think it was the CIA, maybe it's the FBI, that did like the stare at goats thing and the experiments with the telepathy and whatnot,
like MK Ultra and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that was the CIA. But like there's paranormal urban legends like out of the Vietnam War that like they never really codified. Like there's one big one that I think everybody can go look up, but about like why night vision is green. And one of those things where it's like when they originally ran the original night vision tests during the Vietnam War, they had a red tint filter. But when you went out there and you looked at it, they saw like things with wings flying around in Vietnam that were like demon-like. And they're like, okay. And, but no one could interact with them directly or physically.
No more red.
And so, So that was like one of the crazy stories about the paranormal in Vietnam. And I think a lot of it too is just society also, everybody always has feared the dark. That's like the thing. And the paranormal exists out there in the outer dark. And so when we're out of enemies to fight amongst people that we can comprehend, we just put something out there that we go after.
I think it also shifted a little bit too. Like you're talking about the red shift on the night vision, where you'd see like demons in the air. Going to Chloe's example, the Nazis were obsessed with the occult. So you had a lot of the paranormal, supernatural, ghostly spirit stuff associated with those type of noir detectives, whereas if you're a vet in the jungles of Vietnam or in the mountains of Afghanistan or someplace out in the wilds like this, we're seeing a more trend toward cryptids, toward the inexplicable creatures, things of that.
There's all kinds of stories about they fought giants in Afghanistan and the government covered it up. So yeah,
totally. That's what I'm talking about. It just shifted the target of what was going bump in the night.
Yeah. So would bounty hunters, something like that count in the genre of paranormal detective?
They're usually a nemesis. Like I'm going back to Simon Green again. You have the detective John Tyler, and then Shotgun Susie, who was a bounty hunter, and she would either come in as an enforcer or be the rival for the thing he was hunting down. So
a bounty hunter is almost an antagonist to a detective. They're not there to solve the thing. They're just there to bag the bad guy. And
they're solving it in a different way.
Solving
it.
Yeah. That's a different kind of solution.
It's a direct antagonist to the detective's goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And common secondary character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's either like the kind of frenemy where it's like, yes, you're here to solve it. We're trying to work towards the same thing, but your solution will end it like 3/4 of the way, where we're not going to get the real answer, but you will stop whatever this is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a great dynamic to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just know you see, like, whenever you see like cop shows, that's the bounty hunters are on the periphery, right? You don't tend to see a lot of cop shows where independent private eyes are kind of around. Right, that seems to be an older trope in the non-paranormal side. So I was wondering if that applied to the paranormal side. Just random musings.
Okay.
I feel like bounty hunters are more of a trope toward the a western genre, and I will say the hot
procedural.
Take that, I would say the hot take that westerns are just film noir in the woods, but that's a different issue.
Yeah, not disagreeing with that one. I think you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Are there any topics, because we're getting at the 52-minute mark and we do get the wrap up, are there any parts of the paranormal detective that are fundamental to what makes the genre that we haven't talked about?
Okay, I want to know about female paranormal detectives, because when I think of paranormal detective, I really do think male. I don't. So if anybody knows any women paranormal detectives, I would love to hear about it.
Yeah, I read one really good. Let me look it up. Talk amongst yourselves while I look it up.
Cool.
Does Buffy count?
I don't think Buffy's a detective. She's a hunter.
She's a bounty hunter.
Yeah, definitely different from Angel. Because that whole first season of Angel, he's definitely a detective.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Buffy was never. I don't know. Doesn't even scratch that same itch for me, honestly. But yeah. But yeah, the male thing.
You do a lot of times the female ones will be consultants or other things. They don't take the title detective as much, but October Day is Private Eye, and then she does some other things. Charlie Davidson, the First Grave on the Right, she's a PI. Kate Daniels goes back and forth. She's a mercenary, but she also runs her own investigative company for a little while. Anita Blake, you could argue back and forth because she is the animator, and then she's a consultant that does solve paranormal things.
Yeah, but consultant versus detective is, I think, the line I'm interested in.
Yeah,
and a lot of them are cozy.
Alex Kraft, none of these would be cozy.
Okay, so the one I was thinking
not
of.
One of these are cozy ones.
Yeah, no, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying when I go through my female detectives.
The ones I'm coming up with are cozies rather than paranormal detective.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ghost
James,
Hunters.
what were you?
Go, James.
It's called Even Though I Knew the End, and it's by C.L. Polk. It is a novella. It was very good. It's 1940 Chicago. Magic exists. The detective is Helen Brandt. She is asked to investigate a murder scene using her supernatural abilities, which was actually really cool because it scratched a nerd itch both for the paranormal side, the Chicago setting, and also her use of camera equipment and technologies in combination with the magic to investigate the scene.
Cool.
So it was really cool.
Okay.
CL
Polk. Got it.
Yeah, CL Polk.
Yes.
One of the
That
few
is a
books
name I know.
I've read in one sitting. I mean, it's short, but still.
And if you've got examples, dear listeners, in the comment section, be sure to throw those in there. Any other topics that you think are fundamental to the genre that we didn't discuss? Otherwise, we might have to come back for a panel version or episode 2, I guess.
Well, setting. Like, are we talking nitty-gritty alleyways and hard-boiled cities? Are we doing some paranormal stuff out in the woods? I mean, heck, what about the ones that are just set in Chicago or outside Chicago? The picture behind in my background is actually one I took in Chicago. It's of the water tower off of Michigan Avenue, I think.
Needs more gargoyles.
Is the architecture.
I think.
That's why I picked it for this one, because Chicago is kind of like the de facto urban fantasy setting, and I mean more than just Dresden. It was kind of the go-to before that too.
There's a lot of them in New Orleans, because New Orleans asks for paranormal stuff, and a lot of urban fantasy is around cities where the city is basically a character in and of itself.
Absolutely.
Well, and so those big cities, New Orleans, Chicago, Boston. I think Alex Kraft is in Boston. Alex Versubris is
Paris.
Paris is London.
Or Paris, excuse me, is London. So you've seen London, you see Paris. So they do have a tendency to be, more city-based and really cool cities.
Detective
but it's
tends
also
to
the
lend
type of
itself to
city.
a population like a city.
Yeah, because you
hard to
can't
write a
support it.
detective in a rural setting because there's just not enough going on. And you can do it with cozies, because who cares if you killed off the entire population of the city 3 times over the course of the series? Nobody's counting. But
That was one thing I was going to bring up. I was like, except if you're in a cozy.
Yeah.
I actually found another one that was a paranormal investigator who is also a female, the Ghost Whisperer, because she was investigating ghosts every episode.
Okay.
She was trying to track down their history to solve their, last whatever that was tying them to Earth, so she could send their spirits on to the great beyond. And ghosts count as paranormal, according to the definition we agreed on.
Medium probably meets that.
Oh,
as I dig. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Medium, a female main character?
Yeah, she was.
Well, then go for iZombie too. She eats the brains to figure out what killed them.
Okay, that's
brilliant.
true.
Yes,
Yeah,
iZombie is exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now the Ghost Whisperer was set in a small town, but I would think if you use the Ghost Whisperer as the example of that style of paranormal, where you're looking at ghosts, anywhere historic is going to work, because a lot of the ideas is the ghosts congregate, in historic places because, if it's historic, it's because people have been there for a long time, or places where important things have happened.
Does Ghost Whisperer drift into the cozy realm?
I don't know, because I don't know enough about cozy. We might have to do a panel on cozy.
We might get. We've tried and we fought the whole time. It was great.
Great television.
I mean, the readers enjoyed it. The one where the first one we did were strong female characters, where you and I argued the whole time. That was the fan favorite.
That was fun.
Don't forget the urban fantasy and the one on Fae.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that's up next. But yeah, the Ghost Whisperer was just set in a generic small town, I think, in the Maine kind of vibe. It didn't really say
everything in Maine is a cozy.
Yeah. Don't tell Stephen King.
I don't mean that. It's just funny. I don't mean that.
Yeah.
And ghost interaction is an interesting one, because it does lean towards kind of where usually if we're going to have big things with vampires or werewolves or that kind of thing, that again tends to move us back towards that urban, because the conflict is in what happens when they encounter the population in a different way.
Right. So one thing, like what I was thinking about with the city connection, we don't see too many urban fantasies that are successful in New York. You see a lot of gritty noir detectives in New York. They mostly go to Chicago, New Orleans, Boston, places that have a paranormal history. Same thing. I was just thinking, I don't know of any
San
type of
Francisco.
paranormal or urban fantasy set in like Paris. It's a major historic city, but nothing along those lines is set there. They're all in London. So what kind of characteristics of the city make it a good fit for this type of paranormal detective?
Well, that just might be an oversight because Paris certainly has what I would consider a rich.
It's got the catacombs.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, it's got a rich narrative of all these different supernatural, paranormal things, and it may just be that nobody's got
English
it yet.
in London.
Yeah, or there are a lot of English writers who are writing in London. So I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe it's just
there's a French language subset of
right
paranormal that lives in Paris.
Yeah,
like,
that would be interesting.
Or even like in Spain, the only one that is coming to my mind was The Shadow of the Wind, and that's more magical realism.
Yeah, than
paranormal.
Well, the interweb says that Jonathan Mayberry did The Golem of Paris, which is a Detective Jacob Lev series. So that's a series that goes everywhere.
Wait, I just remember
Amy Leduc by Cara Black is a Parisian mystery series with a female investigator.
I can't believe I forgot
Paris
this one.
by Tara Moss. That's a noir adventure following Billy Walker as she tracks bad guys and in Paris, where ghosts from her past are just as vivid as the threats she investigates. I love IMDb stuff. Murders in the Morgue, Edgar Allan Poe is a long-term detective story.
A friend of mine, actually, Cian Rowan, he writes an urban fantasy, but it's not set in Paris. Oversight on it is France. It's in Toulouse.
Oh, yeah.
But Imperfect Cathar, great series. Y'all should check it out.
Interesting. Yeah.
He and Felix are buddies.
There is a TV show that is set in France. It's called Balthazar, which aired from 2018 to 2023. It's a French language show.
That makes sense.
There's a book series called, and I'm going to butcher it, so I am going to copy and paste this into the chat, and any one of you that can do French can read this title.
Nope, sorry.
Nope.
It's
when it has the hat on the E, I don't know how to pronounce that.
I got nothing, people. I speak English. At one point in time, I could speak Middle English, but that's about the extent of it.
Okay. Well, you know.
In the cities of Paris and the city of Lyon.
Yeah, Saint Germain could say it. I can't.
Yeah.
That's why I have my narrator who could speak all the languages that I can't.
Yeah.
I can write it. I can't speak it.
All right. So if you have questions for the next episode, because it sounds like there's room for a Paranormal Detectives part 2, so we can go for the French. Drop them in the comments so we know what to ask, where to target this down, drill down a little bit more. If there's any specific paranormal detective franchise you want us to drill down on, we can do that too. I can even harangue these fine folks to come back and get nitty gritty with it. But with that out of the way, I can speak, I promise. Chloe, what are you reading at the moment?
I have just gotten myself an Odd Thomas book. I hit the library up and I found myself a Stephen R. Lawhead, who is Celtic mythology. A lot of it is properly historical, and Odd Thomas. And I need to go find myself the hours to get those cracked open.
Okay. What about you, Matt?
I recently finished City of Bones by Michael Connelly, which is just a...
Whoops.
Uh-oh. We lost him, Matt.
They found him.
Hello.
We're so relieved.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was just saying I just finished City of Bones by Michael Connelly, and I'm now reading.
Apparently he can't tell us what he's reading. It's redacted. It's been blacked out.
Yeah, that's now I really want to know, because if it's that dangerous.
All right. Well. With that, I guess the Sasquatch has come and he had to go handle it. So, Pittman, what are you reading?
I'm juggling 3 things right now. I'm reading Stargun Messenger by Darby Harn, a nice little indie. He likened it to Murderbot, which I loved. I'm also reading The Realm by L. Marie Wood, and I'm reading, as I can make myself get through it, 12 Months, Latest Dresden, because the last one gave me feelings, and this one is, yeah, I've been stalling on this one.
All right. What about you, Melissa?
I am picking up Tim Powers' urban fantasy series, starting with Alternate Routes, and it's not new. It's just that he is one of my auto-buy authors, and I bought it and was not in the mood for it because he usually does secret history, which I prefer, and it's been sitting on my shelf for however long it's been since it was published. I don't know, but that's the one I'm reading now.
Okay. And Jana, what about you?
I am reading book 3 in the Arcane Case book, The Long Chain by Dan Willis. And, you know, if you like the hard-boiled noir urban fantasy thing, this is fantastic for it. It's 1930s New York. So there's your New York one for you, Jinx. But really fantastic. He's a scribbler. He creates rooms and bad things happen, and he's in the middle of all of it. And it's fantastic.
All right. And I just started the I Starship series by Scott Bartlett, and then I am in the middle of writing some reviews. But I'm going to have to cut way back on the reviews I write because they take time, and I owe publishers words, and they've had words with me about it. So, you know, that kind of happens sometimes. They get real finicky about things and wanting to make money, and I like money. So there we are. But I am reading the Ice Starship series. It's really good. And since we've talked about what we're reading, once we finish what we read, dear listener, I would like to remind you to, again, please be kind and speak your mind on the reviewing platforms. Your reviews help the right readers find the right books. They don't have to be 5,000-word treatises on what you think of the various books. A simple paragraph will do over there on Amazon, Goodreads, or wherever else you buy the book. There are plenty of places where you can review them. You could do a little video with 3 minutes where you just bloviate. That's cool too. People like video content. Whatever it is that works for you. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out thing. And with that, Chloe, where might we find you on the wild, wild interwebs?
All right. You can find me on my website, chloegarner.com, if you're looking for long-form essays on stuff that I've got going on and my thoughts on the writing and fiction worlds. You can follow me on Amazon if all you want is a really nice email with a link in it on how to buy my books when they come out brand new. And if you want to actually hang out with me as a real live human being, my Facebook group is my very favorite place on the entire internet.
Outstanding. Matt, where might we find you on the wild, wild interwebs?
Well, hopefully my microphone holds up. But I am available on Amazon on my author page, along with yet another writing podcast, which can be found pretty much everywhere you can find good podcasts.
All right. And I linked to all of that, dear listener, in the show notes. What about you, Pittman?
You can always find me at halfacrepond.com, on the interwebs, j.e.pittman, or the Facebook is J.E. Pittman Writes. You can also find me hanging out at the Crowded Shelf, crowdedshelf.com, various permutations of that, and lots of other places. I'm all over the place now.
I'm hearing a failure to commit to just the one place.
You got to go where the people, and people are everywhere.
There you go. What about you, Melissa?
You can find me at my website, melissamcshannewrites.com, where there's a link to sign up for my newsletter if you want information about what I'm doing and where to get my books. You can also sign up to follow me on Amazon. My storefront, where I sell physical books, ebooks, and audiobooks, is nightharborpress.com. And we are working on getting all of that stuff out of Jana's basement and into mine.
Woohoo!
So save us having to move it from my basement to her basement by letting us move it from my basement to your basement.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. How many books are in your basement? I mean, what do we talk about for a bulk order?
Lots.
Okay.
I can't do that math. There are hundreds of books in her basement.
Only
All
hundreds.
right, so get to clicking, people. All right, and Jana, where might we find you on the wild, wild interwebs?
You can find me at linktree, linktr.ee/Opal Kingdom Press. That links to all of the other things. I am the Lizard Internet Hide and Go Seek, so if you look for either of these pen names and you find it on the internet and it has to do with publishing, it is almost always me. So I am not very difficult to find.
All right, and you can find us, dear listener, on our Linktree, linktr.ee, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. Again, Linktree/Blasters and Blades Podcast. We will link to all the things: the BitChute, the Rumble, the YouTube, the TikTok, the Twitters. We've got our Spotify, our Discord, our Substack, our Blasters and Blades Facebook group and Facebook page. You can email us at blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. Again, blastersandbladespodcast@gmail.com. For professional purposes only, people. Save the shenanigans from Adam Stabby Stab over there on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the email. You can support the show by going to buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. Again, buymeacoffee.com/author J.R. Handley. These episodes aren't free to produce, so we really appreciate your patronage. And when you do donate to the show, make sure you put in the comment section that it gives you the room for, that it is for the podcast, so I can make sure we keep the lights on for one more season. And with that, I would like to thank you for spending some of your precious time with us. For my crazy co-host, I am J.R. Handley, and this was the Blasters and Blades Podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time, where we'll indulge our love of nerd culture, cheesy jokes, and all things that go boom. And with that, we're going to hit the end button. Thank you all for coming on. Wait for it.